Hi, my name is Tyler Music. This is my individual video project for Cyber 442. So, overview and a disclaimer real quick. I am your presenter, Tyler Music, and this is for my cyber operations class with Instructor Alex Hepp. Um, this is basically to go over basic knowledge of Sentinel-1 and its features. If you'd like a more in-depth class, there's a multi-video class on Sentinel-1 by a YouTuber named Technology Interpreters. Highly recommend. He helped me out a lot when I first was learning the software. A disclaimer I have to read off to you for legal reasons. Everything discussed is for educational purposes, and I am not liable for any damages caused using these demonstrations. Also, I'm a student myself, and I'm still learning every day, so please bear that in mind when I'm showing this stuff. I am still very much a novice. So the first thing to go over is the dashboard. So when you first open up Sentinel-1, this is the page you're going to be presented to. It displays a lot of helpful information about your organization gathered by the Sentinel-1 agent. So what I'm showing you here first is basically it's the scope that you can click on the top left. When you click on it, it'll basically have a bunch of like predetermined, not predetermined, determined by you scopes that you can use. Ours is geography based, so different buildings that we can look at. The rest of what you're seeing here is the dashboard, so you can create as many dashboards as you want with all the different widgets. Each one of these things that my hand's over are the widgets. And then here you can see when you click the the three dots at the top right of each widget, you get greeted with three different options: edit, delete, and duplicate. They do exactly what you think they would. I'm gonna show you what the edit does here. So under edit, you can change the widget to a bunch of different widgets. And there's a widget for everything you could ever want. Agents by OS, domains, encrypted applications. Sentinel-1 reports on a ton of information. So you could, and each one of those is represented by a widget. Tons and tons and tons to pick from here. Yeah. You can change the title to something more appropriate that you like. There's also a chart type. So right here, I picked the venerable donut of death to represent healthy and infected endpoints. But you can change to anything you want, stack bars on a bar, word cloud, whatever you want. There's a refresh interval as well. That just refreshes the data that's displayed to you, not necessarily the data as it's coming in. So if like a scan, like right, if I change that to 120 with 120 seconds, my devices aren't scanning themselves 120 seconds. I'm just being the web page I'm looking at is being updated every 120 seconds. Then when you're done with that, oh yeah, sorry, one feature that's really cool. So each one of these widgets you can configure to be at the highest scope available or a specific scope. So if I wanted to be of a specific building that I used to be at, that's how our devices are organized. At a specific building, I could specify that scope, and then it would only display the infected or healthy endpoints at that building. Or if you just want one general purpose dashboard, you can have it be set to the current scope. So every time I change scopes, the widgets change the information that's displayed to the current scope. Pretty useful if you don't like creating a bunch of dashboards, which I don't. So when you're done, click Save at the bottom. You see the widget updated itself. Here I'm showing how configurable the actual page is itself. You can move the widgets around anywhere you want. If I find a space I want, swipe that one over, plop that one in, and you're done. You can see here there's tons and tons of widgets displaying all kinds of stuff that you could ever really want. There's a telescope right here. That's just for information that I don't currently have, or it's for stuff my organization doesn't pay for. If we go up to the top here, to the top right, you'll see a plus. That's for adding widgets. There's also a store, I believe, for custom widgets that other people have made, maybe. I don't ever use it. I don't have a need for it because there's already a gazillion widgets. Um, I clicked on, it's supposed to be three dots here. It says two. It's a graphical bug, whatever. But here it's kind of interesting. You can upload or download custom dashboards. So if your coworker has one, he can download it himself, just give it to you, and you will upload it. Pretty cool stuff. If you ever get to the point like me, though, when you're first learning and you screw up your entire dashboard, you can actually reset it back to default, just like I'm showing here, and everything's back to where it was default wise. That's the dashboard. The next tool, which is really cool, we don't have a license for, unfortunately, which sucks. But it's a super cool piece of software that I think I want to talk about anyway. But it's the visibility and network discovery pages. I think it all used to be under something called Ranger, but I think they did away with that. Now it's visibility network discovery, maybe. Not entirely sure because I don't have access to it, but Interpreters does a web an entire video on it. It's under the Ranger tab though. So on here, you can see S1 device will scan the its currently connected network. If it's on your private network with a bunch of S1 devices, it does it very smartly so that only specific devices are scanning at a time. That way, you're not just destroying your network with Sentinel-1 scans. So it does it really smartly. And it also, what you can do is you can specify what protocols and ports to scan over. So it actually do like you can specify it to do ICMP scans, for instance. And then if you do UDP and TCP scans, you can actually specify what ports you want to what you want it to scan over. Pretty cool. It also can help you inventory your fleet by identifying other Sentinel-1 devices and also non-Sentinel-1 devices. So rogue endpoints that might be out there without Sentinel-1, it'll reach out and collect that data and then present you it, and then you can decide how you best want to approach that rogue device. It also does these scans. Sentinel-1 did a pretty good job of thinking of the legal precedents that comes with these scans. So if your staff member goes out to a coffee shop, you don't have to worry about a device invading other people's privacy while it's there. So Sentinel and the Sentinel page is just referring to a device that has Sentinel-1 installed and configured on it. Um, Here, actually, I'll show you that real quick. It's a fairly basic page, but it's got some helpful stuff on it. This is of my example device here. Otherwise, this entire window would just be filled to the brim with devices. But it gives me some pretty helpful stuff just from the get-go. Last logged in user, the device name, domain it's under. The IP information that you can see here is not of my organization's, it's of my own lab for this exercise. Different OS stuff, CPU count, core count. It can also determine the device type between a server, laptop, desktop. When I go back and I click on this device, nice little window here will actually pop up, and it's all the same information but nice in a nice little window, so I can click onto other pages and go display other information while still having this device info up. Pretty nice. Yeah, so it gives me it also gives me a unique identifier. Sentinel-1 does that for each device that's on it. It basically makes it easier to track. You can do it by serial number, MAC address, IP address, whatever you want, but the UUID is just kind of a identifier for that specific device anyway. So it's kind of nice. Um, yeah, it gives you all the information you could ever want. Network adapters tells me all the NIC cards that are on it, MAC address, IP address, that stuff. I don't want to show you the MAC address for obvious reasons. It'll give me the app inventory on a quick glance at it, just all the software that's on the device, Active Directory information, scheduled tasks, and updates if it needs updates. So let me know there. Tags, your organization can give it tags if you want. There's the Actions tab here. So there's the recently used. So this is all the stuff that I have recent, oh, sorry, here it is, recently used. So remote shell, view threats, disconnect from network. I'll show you all that in a second here. Endpoint action. So I can you reboot, shut down, uninstall, approve, uninstall, reject, uninstall. The approve and reject is if an IT member that doesn't have access to Sentinel-1 is out there and Sentinel-1's causing them issues on that client's device, they can ask me to uninstall it, and then I can approve or reject it based off of what we need to do. You can also send a message. So if something pops up on the user's device, an alert pops up, and I tell them, hey, you need to turn your device to the nearest IT member. I can send that to a message that pops up, a nice little message that pops up for the user. You can also use things like remote shell. So you can actually do remote shell mitigation stuff over the device. And you can also network disconnect and reconnect. Network disconnect is very slick, though, because essentially you can stop any traffic going onto the device and leaving the device, except for traffic from the Sentinel-1 portal, right? So I can network disconnect it while still using things like remote shell to mitigate any risk that might be on the device. Still pretty nice. There's any version changes, some shortcut stuff. I can initiate a full disk scan if I want to, and there's troubleshooting. Nice thing about the troubleshooting, I can fetch logs while it's network disconnected, so I can even fetch logs for like the event viewer, for instance, while it's network disconnected. Basically making my job a lot easier and a lot more stationary. There's a configuration tab. Don't touch that a whole lot. The tech support tab, I think, is actually just for If I put in a tech ticket with Sentinel-1 and I need help on something, this is probably where they'll navigate me to. Yeah. So that's everything for that little window. Pretty nice. On to the next one. The instance tab. This is where I spend a lot of my time as an incident response member. Um, there's more than enough information to act on. It's kind of like drinking from a fire hose. So, but if you know what to look for, there's a lot of really good stuff. Each device basically is scanned once on initial install. Sorry, the entire hard drive is scanned once on initial install. And then anything that gets scanned after that is just anything created new on the device, whether it be copying and pasting, an email coming in, or a file being downloaded. Each one of those new things coming in the device will be scanned, and then a hash will be created for it to be checked against a database that is stored on the device and that is updated by the cloud, Sentinel-1 cloud. That way you're just not wasting resources on the device itself. I will show you the incident tabs here, and I'll show you on a device that we had a little problem with not too long ago. Um, yeah, here we go. So when I'm looking at this is the threats tab. It normally would display all the threats that have happened over the last year. Right now I have it filtered down to this specific device because I don't want to show you all of our devices. If I left click here, it will give me some cool information. Pretty basic though. Give me the notes that I put, indicators. The indicators when you go to the next window will show it will actually give you a MITRE link to the MITRE framework web page, and it'll actually kind of give you more information. Pretty cool. Mitigation actions involve killed, quarantined, and rolled back. So it kills the process, quarantines it by encrypting the file and hiding it and giving it no access to anybody ever again. And then roll back. So Sentinel-1 will take snapshots of the device, several snapshots. Don't know quite how it works. It wasn't really shared with us in depth, but it takes snapshots and it'll roll it back to a time before it was infected. Usually it's pretty close to around the time it was infected, though, so you don't the client's not losing a whole bunch of data. Different engines to catch the stuff too that it uses. This is the threats overview page within incidents. There's some PII, so I got to be careful what I share here. Um, but some really cool stuff. Gives me a SHA-1. I can actually left click that SHA-1 and it'll take me to a virus total page that is obviously linked to the SHA-1 hash that was taken. But you'll see SHA-1, SHA-256, and MD5 pretty regularly. This one was just a SHA-1. Give me the endpoint status as well. It also give me threat indicators. Here's the MITRE link, or it actually showed me the MITRE framework that it abused, and then it'll pull up the web page and tell me more information about the MITRE framework itself. Really cool, really helpful stuff. There's the Threats Explorer tab. Unfortunately, we don't have it anymore. I'm not sure if it just doesn't log it after a certain amount of time because it is a lot of stuff to log, but I couldn't find a clear example within um, Sentinel-1, my Sentinel-1 management portal for some reason. But anyway, still worth sharing. Basically, it's a process explorer beginning with the root process to the end process, and it makes a really cool tree structure of all the parent to child relationships of that malware process and how it acted. It's kind of similar to like an online sandbox and how it traces its stuff, but it's obviously done on your live devices, so bear that in mind. There's a threats timeline. So when you get done, you're writing your report. This timeline is amazing. Um, Basically, it goes from like when the user first double clicked on an exe to all the way at the end, which is in this case me um, being the analyst verdict saying whether it was a false positive or true positive all the way at the end, and timestamps for everything and every action that's taken. This thing is invaluable for report writing. I absolutely love it. Then there's the applications page. The applications page, sort of a vulnerability management page, a little bit. But it classifies each application with the CVE score and how many CVE vulnerabilities there are for that application version. It shows you the inventory of all the pieces of software on the device. And then it also gives you a policy page. That's just for the scanner configuration. Show you that right now. So again, we're just looking at the one example device because it would be overwhelming to have the entire organization in this one page. But yeah, so it kind of gives me this is the risk page. So these are the high risk pieces of software that is on this specific device, this example device. And it gives me the highest severity. So it gives me critical if you like looking at like a four color risk thing. But it also gives you the NVD base score, and it tells me the number of CVEs per version. So this version of Office Click to Run has 7 CVEs attached to it. Pretty bad. It tells me the number of endpoints in my organization that had that particular software. This is the application detection date, so initial scan probably on a lot of these. Then days from detection. So if it hasn't picked it up in a certain amount of time, it usually drops off. That's the risks page. If you go to inventory, pretty basic. It's inventory of all the software on this device. You'll see here in a second as soon as it loads. It's quite a bit. Yeah, tons and tons of stuff here, but good for logging. And there's the policy page just for configuration of the scanner. The activity page, admittedly, is taken up with mostly USB device installs because users love USB devices. But it tracks things like actions by S1 admins and then actions by S1 automation. Show you that right now. It's kind of useful. It really, I could see this being the most useful for maybe report writing and also just I guess user activity maybe. A bad USB, if someone plugs in a bad USB, it'll show up here as well. You can see here like wireless gaming headset. That's this guy right here, and then my um, USB audio. Some of this stuff is the hub my laptop's plugged into. I will show you this here. That's my keyboard, and then I'll move out of my way. And then this is my organization issued Flipper Zero. So certain hacking devices will show up here, and you can actually configure Sentinel-1 to block certain USB devices if you'd like. Pretty helpful. My personal experience with Sentinel-1 has been overall incredibly positive. I think it's a great product for a small team. The way the license is set up, you kind of scale it up and down, save money in certain places where you just don't need that specific feature or software. But it's been great for a small team that has to wear many hats. I work help desk, and I do incident response. Network admins, same thing. They're a network admin and they do incident response. And our Windows Manager and Chrome Manager, they do incident response as well, but they also do some management in the Sentinel-1 console. So if you have to wear a lot of hats, this is a great software for you. It's incredibly feature rich and very scalable, both licensing wise and device wise. So I can see this being a super great piece of software for like a huge organization with a ton of devices, or organization like mine that doesn't have as many, although it feels like we have too many. Um, I do some cons. I guess I would say like a critique is that you definitely do need a decent amount of IT and cyber experience to get your most out of it. I feel like I use it pretty well, but I'm still very much a novice, and I'm certain that there's tons of things that could be doing better with the software. And I'm sure my other coworkers feel the same. Maybe a super experienced professional, or cybersecurity and IT professional would probably, or sorry, not IT, but just strictly cybersecurity professional would probably uh, get much more out of this device or out of this software. I think with another year or two, I'd probably be pretty close to that as well. And the malware analysis and scanner is a little heavy-handed. There's a decent amount of false positives that pop up, but you know what? For an organization like ours, without a dedicated cybersecurity team, that's kind of okay. So overall, really, really positive. Very happy with the software. Again, thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned some stuff, and you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you.